for the next meeting.
I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's a regular meeting of the Marine City Commission on Thursday, March 19th at 7 a.m. I'm going to ask everyone to please rise, and Pastor Brandt is going to lead us in prayer, and immediately afterwards we will say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you very much for today. I want to thank you, Father, for this opportunity that we have to gather here together to talk business, but to also, Lord, allow that our speech would be pleasing and holy to you. Thank you, Father, for this time that we have. We thank you, Father, for the great opportunity we have of freedom. We ask, Lord, that you be here with us, and we ask, Father, that you would just bless this meeting, encourage us, continue to be with our city, our homes, our families. And we pray, Father, your special blessing upon Marine City. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sargent?
Here.
Commissioner Avery?
Here.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Here.
Commissioner Lovett?
Here.
Commissioner Miller?
Here.
Commissioner Simpson?
Here.
Commissioner Turner?
Here.
Acting City Manager Tillery?
Here.
Moving on to communications, we have none, so this is the public comment portion of the meeting. I ask people to come to the podium, state your name and address, and please keep your comments to under 5 minutes. So we have gentlemen always walking up here. I know you're at the last meeting. Traditionally, you wait to be recognized before you come up to the podium. So we're going to let somebody else come up first. Rita? Go ahead.
Good evening. Rita Rory, 162 South 3rd. I haven't been to any of the meetings in some time due to health problems, but tonight I just had to attend and speak my piece. I want everyone to know that though the body is frail, the mind's still working on all cylinders, so here goes. My main topic will be the budget. My question to start off with is how can your this commission that says it cares even permit this mess to be presented for your approval? It should be returned immediately to our city manager, and a balanced and very tight budget should be demanded. If the average person in this town handled their budget like this, they would go broke quickly. This is not a so-called work in progress, it's a disaster. Who gives raises when you have budget problems? If you have budget problems at home, the first thing you do is cut out things like costly vacation. It's the same kind of thinking. For your understanding, the figure that I quote are based on the approved 14-15 budget, which totaled $2,766,525, and the present 15-16 budget of $2,999,410. The overage in just the general fund budget totals $232,885. The total being taken out of the fund balance is $288,130, leaving us with a fund balance of $360,369, which is under the figure required for a city of our size by the state. When you look at the general fund budget of $232,885 and look at the individual departments, you see that the police department is over last year's amount by a whopping $160,620. So the person presenting the budget is using most of it for his department, allowing all others to share the remaining $72,000. The police wages part-time lists an additional $101,275 over last year due to return of a fourth shift, which was stopped last year, and a 2% raise Mr. Tillery is offering. And also extra money to send the lieutenant to command school. What's that about? Why does he have to go to command school? Seems to me that if I were the interim manager, I want to make sure all departments are treated as equally as possible. But then I wouldn't have him as interim because I don't think he has the skills for it. In the police budget, I also object to an item saying we're using the salvage fund in the amount of $20,000. There is an item in the city's budget, but it's a pass-through item for which the city is paid a fee to do this particular thing. There is another note saying the salvage fund will be used for the lieutenant's schooling, but no particular item is mentioned. If we are receiving a $20,000 fee, which is technically the only money you could use since the so-called fund, as the other funds are, does not exist. Seems like kind of a high fee to me, and the whole thing looks like creative bookkeeping. Now we come to the tot lot in town over on Main and Washington. This should have been handled completely differently. Rumor has it that they just wanted to get rid of that and put it on the beach and make car parking there. And lo and behold, what was described as just talk has a diagram in the budget section number 7, plus an amount to change this lot to parking for only a mere $100,000 more, which is included in TIFA budget 2 and 3. Since none of this park is in either TIFA 2 or 3, how is this being done? Money from TIFA funds is supposed to be used only in the district for which the money was collected. Or should I ask such a dumb question? This proposed change, without having a public hearing and keeping the taxpayers informed, is an insult to the grandmothers, mothers, and children of this community who use this park. Lynn Zarowski has done such a fabulous job on this park, and now to turn around and see they want to spend another $100,000 to change it in a parking lot is an absolute disgrace. There is no other way to describe it. Remember the old Joni Mitchell song, probably from the 70s, and there was a line in it that said, they paved paradise and they put up a parking lot. Fits, doesn't it? Then I looked at, I only have 2. Then I looked at the water and sewer section. It said they're going to need another 5.15% increase. And here's the kicker. I thought this was the biggest insult anybody could write in a budget where you're proposing to deplete your general fund by half. The quote line says, rate increase of 5.15% instead of the 8 per ordinance to meet auditor and state minimum fund balance. That did it for me. In other words, because you,
You're way past your 5 minutes, thank you.
I have one line to go, and I've seen you give other people extension. I have one paragraph.
Well, we can get real strict and nobody will get an
3
extension. You've been up, hurry up and say it.
Please hear me. We can't keep spending it like this. And for Mr. Tillery to take such a lion's share for his department and propose raises is an example of greed unparalleled. And I'd like to further ask why he's driving one of the newer police cars as his car. If he's traveling to home with that car, he's using up my miles that should be used for patrol work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. This is really to be addressed to everybody in this room, but my name is Chelsea Manning. I am the sexual assault advocate for Blue Water Safe Horizons. We're located in Port Huron, Michigan. I wanted to let you all know about April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month across the nation. And so I wanted to let you guys know about a couple events that we have planned to commemorate that month. With 1 in 5 women and 1 in 75 men facing sexual assault in their life, It makes awareness, support, and solidarity all the more imperative. So for the month of April, I've organized a documentary screening at SC4 on April 23rd, and also I'll be hosting a discussion after this documentary. I have a panel also going on at SC4 April 20th. It'll have faculty from the psychology department, sociology department, the criminal justice department, and our prosecutor, and Mona Armstrong, if anyone's familiar with her. They'll be on this panel discussing things like victims' rights, advocacy, awareness, and Blue Water Safe Horizon services. And our final, I guess, day is Denim Day. It's April 29th, and basically it commemorates like a trial where in Italy a woman was assaulted, and then a man was tried and convicted, but they later went back and kind of erased his sentence because, you know, the woman was wearing jeans, and this jury thought, well, how could she be raped? She was wearing jeans, which is obviously ridiculous. So basically you wear jeans that day to commemorate it. And at both Advia credit union branches in Marysville and Port Huron, there will be donation buckets. So for the employees, if they want to wear jeans, they'll put like $5 in the jar. But basically, those donation buckets are there for anybody in the community who wishes to donate money. All the proceeds would go to Blue Water Safe Horizon services, so we can service victims in our community. So this cause is very important to me, and I can't fix the problem by myself. I can't bring awareness to the problem by myself. And all your support from my community would mean a whole lot. So I'm leaving my some brochures over there and like little sexual assault awareness buttons that I made. I ran out of business cards, so I wrote my information in those brochures. If anybody wants to write it down, can get a hold of me if they want any more information on all these events or our services or anything of the such. So on behalf of Blue Water Safe Horizons and myself, thank you for letting me talk to you guys today.
Bill?
Bill Haas, 203 Pleasant Street, 20-plus year resident of this town. Basically, I didn't move here for all the stores downtown. I moved here for the waterfront of the downtown, which is the main kick of this city here. You know, I came in, I paid the high taxes for the services and the schools, you know, but now with the loss of the waterfront, which is happening to the citizens, you know, don't really care if we have the all our services. I mean, everything's slacking as it is now. You know, after the town hall meeting, I talked to my friends at Holy Cross to let them know that we're not really, don't really care about parking for the hotel if it comes in, that there was plenty of parking in front of the church off of Water Street on both sides, like was stated at the town hall meeting. Let's see. Topic of the Guy Center, which basically was left to the kids of Marine City that the city took over because of City Hall. I'm just curious if any funds were being put in for like rent towards something for the kids or anything like that. I mean, apparently if we want to take the tot lot, you know, we're not much thinking about kids or the, you know, parents and families of this town. Actually, one question on Broadway in North Mary, that the apartments upstairs, the old Coney joint, been a deal. Did anybody ever find that guy for not shoveling his sidewalk on the main drag? Because if he didn't, that means you know, if he wasn't fined, the city's not doing much to help generate a buck. But yet you want us to pass a millage for you to collect $50 for per $100,000 household. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If you can't help yourself, why are you coming to the citizens for help? And actually there's on that same corner, if you go take a look next time you walk, each corner on across from the Antique and the Deal, you have no parking to the corner, no parking to the corner. In front of the Ahi store and the said sidewalk issue problem. What happened to that sign? That's probably the second dangerous intersection in this town, and the sign's been removed. So what, so we can get an extra 2 cars in there so someone can get killed on that corner? I mean, Ward Street is probably the first major deal with the kids having to cross the street there on Parker. But there's a sign, the sign is gone. I mean, did the Chamber of Commerce and Bob just take it down themselves? Did it go through process? I don't know, it used to be there. And then there's the deal with the parking downtown. I noticed all used to be, you know, because I like I say, I came here for the water. Used to be there was signs down there, no parking overnight, none of this, none of that. All those signs have disappeared. Now it's all public parking. You know, so what's up with that? I mean, I came down 6 o'clock in the morning before 6 to put something in the mailbox. And you got the Anita's, the slot between Anita's, the next building, that whole deal was all full up already. Ain't nowhere for anybody to park there, probably because of the apartment people. You know, I think a lot of people were in favor of making up little stickers. You know, when you pay your taxes, you get a sticker. The beach from the house that didn't get demolished, all the way around that corner. All our parks should be a sticker only. You know, I think a surcharge should be put on tickets. Whether, depending on how much, whether the antique stores and food people give a 10% discount, antique store will give you 10% discount anyways. But there's a lot of things that this city is asking the people for which you can't generate money yourself. I mean, Georgia Palin, the COC, she seems to have no problem raising money for all her things. You know, it seems like there's a big leaders of our town and the Chamber of Commerce beating down little people, and as most of you know, you've seen I've been called a bully. They allowed it to happen by one of their ex-members, which I'm trying to get a decent, like to get high profiles to come in here and do some spanking on some people. But I mean, there's a lot of things. Some of the streets downtown, certain streets on the main drag have 2 hours only parking, and then some are just free reign. I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened in this town in 20 years. Like I said, people come for the waterfront. They don't come downtown for the businesses. And you know, when you're selling out our waterfront, the beach, you want to make a destination, bring 100,000 people in here. Well, it's time to make the people who are showing up, using our facilities, using my beach, using my waterfront that I can't get to because there's no parking. It's time to make them pay. Everybody needs to owe up. You want something from me? I got no problem with that. You make the other people owe it too. Thank you.
Sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Board. I'm John LaCroix. My wife and I own Sunset West Tanning and Canadian Savings on 521 West Boulevard. I'm a member of the Council of Aging Washington Life Center Veterans Club, and also I help with the museum that we have down there at the Washington Life Center. I don't know if any of you know of the museum, but we've got down there. I'm also a member of the American Legion Post 382 in St. Clair. And what I've kind of come today to ask the board to reconsider granting the Legion a chance to sell poppies in Marine City. I know that we asked on we sent a note on December 8th for our first dates, and they asked us to reconsider that and give us a couple of other dates. Well, in either case, we were the second dates were, I guess, by the board here, decided that they didn't want to have those dates for the American Legion. I'm not sure the reason why, but what I'm kind of asking is if you would please reconsider letting us sell poppies. Our poppies are a little bit different than the VFW, and it's like a gentleman that's from Marine City that's he's got 2 Purple Hearts, and we didn't ask him if he was from Marine City or where he was from when we went ahead and got him some help through the Disabled Veterans Administration, and we were able to take him down to the center in Detroit to get some help. But what I'd like is to ask to reconsider that. It sounds like the VFW is able to have their poppy sale on the second weekend of May, and we're just asking, please reconsider that. We are a veterans group, and I'm not sure if any is our veterans on the board or not, but please reconsider that. We do try to service all our members in the area, all veterans, not just American League or the Washington Life Center veterans or whatever, we look out for everybody. And I don't know if you understand the different poppies that are sold between the VFW and the American Legion. They're different poppies and they go for different things. I have a lady, Chris, if she wanted to, say a few words on the poppies. But like I said, please reconsider that. I and the rest of the veterans would appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm Christine Bramlett-Hawes. I am the Vice President of St. Clair County Allied Veterans Council. The council is all the military organizations in St. Clair County. The poppies for the Legion can only be used by the act of Congress for a veteran or his family in case of an emergency. It cannot be used for anything else but that. The VFW has a broader area where they can help with the statues and stuff, the monuments in the parks. The Legion, the American Legion, cannot. They can only help a veteran in need with that money, or their family, or an active duty member that comes up with hardship. And we are sanctioned by Department of Defense, Congress, that is only what we can use it for. And when we have people come up, we've had people that needed help with heating. We had another one that was on active duty that needed a special helmet for their child that the insurance wouldn't pay. That's what that money is used for, and only that. And for St. Clair County, or well, St. Clair Post 382, I'm also the treasurer of that money. So I have to have documentation and proof that it's needed, and we investigate. But we've asked back in December if we could do poppies. December 8th, we got a letter of denial. We went back, and they says, well, come back with a different date. We came back with a different date. It was supposed to be with you guys. It was denied again, saying that it would interfere with the VFW. And as my understanding, Marine City VFW will be disbanded at the end of this month. So if and when that happens, they would not be legally able to do the poppies. So if you have any questions, you can ask me, but I hope you reconsider, because it's going to a good cause. It's going to our veterans, those that put their boots, in. They've done for you. Now it's your turn to help us do for them.
Anyone else like to address the commission? Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
The motion and support, do we have any discussion? Lisa?
Yes, I'd like to postpone the vacation of High Street, 9A, and can I do the 10B or 10A also? Same time? Both of those should be postponed until we can get that worked out better, because there was a misunderstanding on the parcel. I think I sent everybody a map. They didn't want to vacate the entire street because their street access for their garages in the back, they only want the end of the street. So we need to fix it so that they can still get to their garage. So I'm just asking to postpone those two items.
I'd support that motion in order to give us time to digest and respond to that.
We have motion and support to postpone items 9A and 10A. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Now moving on to the approval of the agenda again. We had any other discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So agenda's been approved minus those two items. On to item 7, which is the approval of the minutes from March 5th.
I move to approve the meeting minutes from our regular commission meeting, March 5th, 2015, as presented.
Support.
The motion and support. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes have been approved. On to the consent agenda. We've got item 8A, which is departmental activity reports. Item 8B, which is Marine City Fire Authority run report. And item 8C, which is business license for Sheer Style, new location.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda and place on file.
We have motion and support. Any discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda has been approved. Which brings us to item 10B, which is discussion on the sidewalk program. I think we asked you to bring us back up to the floor just to answer some questions on it.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't see a copy of that with our packet, the program. So where are we with the sidewalk program?
Where we are, sir, is we have to approve this resolution to go forward on the packet. This resolution allows us to suspend the former sidewalk program and promulgate rules for the new sidewalk program. They are pretty much done. You guys have seen the packet before. This is the step we need to do to repeal the old sidewalk program and promulgate the sidewalk inspection program that we are looking to do.
Your Honor, if I could speak to that for a moment as well.
Yeah.
Mr. Gabert approached me at the end of last year, I think when this effort was initiated, and he made the observation that the current sidewalk ordinance, in his estimation, was very unwieldy in terms of the approvals that were needed to get work done. And his suggestion was that if an actual document outside of the ordinance were created, it would be more flexible and could be modified more readily from time to time as issues arose. I think he set to work on a rather detailed sidewalk inspection and replacement program. But in order, and I think this goes to Mr. Tillery's observation, to put that in place, this unwieldy framework needed to be stripped down. And the proposed ordinance that we worked on at that time essentially reduces the current ordinance down to 2 sections. The new section 90.030 asserts that the sidewalks are going to be repaired pursuant to this document that is going to be approved by City Council. And secondly, that anyone who chooses not to comply or pay for those repairs, they would be subject to single lot assessment as is allowed by our ordinance currently. So I think that that's perhaps the backstory on the proposed ordinance. And I think that Commissioner Hendrick brought this up at Commissioner Privilege on March the 5th. There was an outstanding question about liability of the city as to it could be trees, for example, that are in the right-of-way between the road and the sidewalk, and whose responsibility would that be? And our determination is that those are city responsibilities. And I don't know how that determination impacts the commission's view on whether or not this is the right step to take. But I think that the question was a very pointed one. Whose responsibility is it if there's a tree that's located in the right-of-way? And the answer is it's the city's.
I think it actually went beyond trees. They were talking about whose responsibility, period, wasn't it?
It came up when the insurance company was here discussing this originally, and Steve Staff said that if the sidewalk buckled due to the tree, then technically it's the city that has to fix that portion of that sidewalk.
If
If the tree caused it.
and if the tree is located in the city's
right away.
then he would be correct.
Yes, but that's my problem with this whole thing. We still needed to go through this. We hadn't quite, I still have issues because right in here it says who's responsible for tree roots that have lifted my sidewalk? If it's a tree or planting has caused damage, the city reserves the right. But it says basically though, even if it's a city's tree, you gotta pay. So I mean, there's issues with this proposal, and I think what we were supposed to do is, every other month, we were gonna come back and try to go through it. And I've got quite a few items in here that I kinda have issues with, so that's why I don't want to approve this tonight until we've discussed it. And I know I asked for a copy of this too. I dug and I found my copy, but I had asked for one too because it's been so long since we looked at this. So I would say, I think we all ought to re-review this.
Well, there's nothing for approval tonight anyway. This is just a discussion item. So, yeah, that's why I was a little surprised to see a resolution in here, because this is, on the agenda, is purely discussion.
That's my mistake. I was going to put the resolution introduction on there.
So, we have to have a new sidewalk program, but we haven't approved it yet. And you're saying that we have to basically whittle down the existing ordinance to make room for that, right?
I think it can be done simultaneously. I mean, I think
Right.
Commissioner Hendrick's point is well taken, that if the document is shaped up in the form which the commission wants to approve it, simultaneously, an ordinance can be adopted that would amend, essentially rescind the old ordinance, put a new ordinance in place with, essentially the backbone of the new ordinance is gonna be this document that's sort of outside of the ordinance.
There was one other issue though, was the ownership of the sidewalk. I thought you said you were gonna try to find, you thought you had an opinion on it already?
Yes, and I think that the answer is that the sidewalks themselves lie generally on the property of the property owner, and not
Even though
on,
they're within the right-of-way?
well, I guess that's the question. I don't know that they are located in the right-of-way. Typically, they're not.
Well, I know, just for an example, when there was all that issue down by the new bridge with the Cottrell's property, and they had to move their dock, well, it was in the area where the sidewalk was, they had to move it on the other side where the right-of-way and the sidewalk would have been. So they were basically told, you don't own that, move the dock, which they did.
That was a street end right away.
But it was a street end that had a sidewalk, and they used the sidewalk as the guide for where the property line is. That's what
Yeah,
they
well,
used.
that's the question I thought we had posed, is because that was brought up, and
And I know I had another person tell me that they also, years ago, was contacted by the city to repair a sidewalk of their mother's, and they pulled the state law, which I did look at. It does say if it's in the right-of-way, then it would belong to the city. So I'm just trying to clarify that, because this individual also gave me this information, and it was kind of factual, but I don't know where I'm assuming that's where the boundaries are. So that's where we're into, who owns it? See what I'm saying?
I do, and maybe it's just on a property-by-property basis. I think typically the sidewalks are attached to the property of the homeowner,
Okay.
and the sidewalks are not built in the right-of-way. I guess to the extent there are properties that exist with sidewalks in the right-of-way, they would be the city's.
What determines the right of way? A certain distance
It's
from the center of the street?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So we'd have to take that into account, though, when we go after certain sidewalks.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a question for the engineer, if there needs to be some sort of a census done on the streets and the sidewalks of the city as to where the right-of-way lies.
Because I know in some areas, too, we don't even have sidewalks. There's like, I know by me, there's like a piece in one lot, and then the whole rest of the block, there's nothing. Which now means they're probably gonna have to put one in. So it's and that's kind of not covered in this. I think that was covered in the old ordinance, so we'd have to kind of readdress that, I think, in here, if that's what we're gonna do.
so, anybody else?
Well, I think it's good discussion to have. I mean, we've been talking about sidewalks and talking about them and never have done anything, so, it's good to see that we're starting with something here to start pushing that issue. As you said, we've had that for quite a while, and then it kind of goes out of sight, and we haven't done anything about it. So this certainly gets us thinking along the way. I just saw it as to adopt a program, not that this is the program. I thought that was the intent of this, is to.
No, we have to,
But-
just to bring it back up and see where we're at, because
Yeah.
we never finished it. I mean, a lot of that happened toward the end of Mr. Gaber's,
This is October 13th.
yeah. But we had questions, and we were looking at costs, and, I mean, it's one thing if the property owners are gonna pay for it, it's just a matter of enforcement, but if we have to pay for it, that's a huge can of worms. Where are we
Yep.
gonna get that money?
Plus figuring out which ones are in the right of way and which ones aren't.
Which is gonna cost a fair amount of money itself. So it's a mess, I
It
guess.
is. I had not looked at the minutia of the proposal. I was looking at the funding aspect of it. Just before we get into the details of the proposal, the funding is a real issue to figure out how to even see if this is possible to move forward on.
And perhaps if we can't move forward on it, maybe there's something we can do to adapt the existing format to take away some of that red tape or what Mr. Gaber found was prohibitive, that we can at least better use our existing policy if there's not a way to fund a full plan like that. That way we can make, at least in certain areas, it certainly is it's a big issue, but funding is a very large component of that, and it's a
Well,
difficult thing.
it seems to me we've got an ordinance that was never enforced,
Right,
and that's what's put us in this.
yeah. It's a legacy of not enforcing that, and we're stuck, just like on several other issues, and then having to deal with that at some point.
Right,
very
it's gotten
soon.
to the point where we can't just deal at it a little piece at a time.
They're
We've
all
gotta-
large ticket items.
Right, because we're in trouble with the insurance,
Well, it's declining infrastructure as well.
right. And so I guess we're just gonna have to probably put this back on the agenda after we get done with the budget, unless, I can't see having this done before the budget. Commissioner Avery?
The thought that sidewalks are on personal property, I didn't check my survey or anything to know that, but if it is, and then we're talking insurance, that suddenly gets kind of sticky, and that is the homeowner responsible for anything on that sidewalk?
I believe they are, but you know how that works.
No.
The lawyers go after the deepest pockets.
Well, yeah.
Right. Commissioner Hawley?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I always understood, in fact, if any city or if you had a building, the sidewalk has always been the homeowner or the property owner's responsibility to maintain the sidewalk and take care of the sidewalk. But the city owns the ground underneath the sidewalk. Therefore, because when I had my sidewalk repaired, I thought my homeowner's insurance was gonna come down, which it did not, because they said if somebody slipped and fell on your sidewalk, like you said, Mr. Mayor, they go for the deepest pockets, which is the city owns the land underneath the sidewalk. But that's always been understood. Anybody that I've ever purchased, any house I've owned or a building that I've owned, it was always my responsibility to maintain and take care of the sidewalk, whereas if you didn't take care of it, the city will do it and then slap it on your taxes. That's the way I've always understood.
Well, that's the way it's always been anywhere I've lived also, but we started down this road and certain questions were, asked, and we've gotten some ambiguous answers. So it's like we're not really sure who's responsible for the cost on some of these things.
Okay, also, when I built a home, I had to put a bond up, because the sidewalks weren't required, but I had to put a bond up to have requirement for the sidewalk. So why put the bond up? I put the sidewalks in because it wasn't required at that state of time, is what I'm saying is, if we did put, just thinking as a builder, if you put a house up and there's no sidewalks there, you still are liable to put sidewalks in. That's an understood code as a builder, thinking that in your contract, that maybe right now there's no sidewalks there, but for safety in a right-of-way, for pedestrians to walk, that's, it's an understood thing to
Well, yeah,
plan your
I
budget.
would have agreed with you a few weeks ago. And that's my other question, is, are we just overthinking this? I mean, should we just assume that the majority of sidewalks out there are gonna be the property owners?
I would,
And maybe take it at a case-by-case basis?
I think that might be the more cost-effective way to do it. Again, Commissioner Hendrick's familiar with something that's outside of the right-of-way. I guess that's conceivable, but I think that would be rare.
Well, Mr. Downey, how can someone sue the city if they get injured on a broken sidewalk? Is it, like you said, the deep pockets, that's who they go after?
Yeah, I mean, I think,
If the sidewalk is owned by the homeowner, they should be suing the homeowner. But in turn, they always go after the city.
But don't we have a diligence to enforce that, to make sure that our ordinances are
Can you give us
enforced?
a definitive answer
sure,
on that?
I will do that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the first round of this anyway was to go after the worst of the worst. I mean, there's some that are like pieces, you know, and I think that's what.
Well, the most cost-effective way that most cities do that is they take whole areas.
Yeah.
And that way they can dedicate, a single contractor to a single area, and it saves everybody money.
But I know, again, I up in Lexington, Tom Raymond, he bought a grinding machine. Him and I talked about it, and he said they went around and ground off a lot of the ones that weren't bad, but they bought the machine, now they're renting it out to other communities to do it because that saved a lot of money. So if you only have a small, instead of replacing the home, they came through with a grinder and leveled it off. That saved them a boatload up there.
Commissioner Simpson?
I think one of the things we obviously need to be looking at too, that one of my biggest issues with that program did not address is trees. We found that with the storms over the past couple of years. We have a lot of mature trees, which are great. I love them, but it's a huge liability. And I don't think we can separate those two issues. Obviously, we probably don't have to state that in the plan, but as we're developing a plan to deal with this, a tree with large, deep roots is going to destroy this plan and destroy property just as much as someone who doesn't upkeep that, and that's a city liability there too. So I'd like to see us, as we're moving through that, address that somehow. I'm not sure how we're going to do it, but I think that is equally as important, and we haven't talked a lot about that yet. But it just goes to show how this snowballs
Yeah, I
crazy.
just think it's a shame that we even have to deal with this at this point. The city's had sidewalks for a long time.
Agreed.
There should have been a program, but we're stuck with the task of getting this thing done now that it's become a major project, and nothing we can do about it, I guess, other than try to get it done. But is there anything specific we're asking? I know we're looking for judgment on
Right.
The liability
the
issue.
liability issue.
Well, and the setback from the road, if we can have a definite answer.
Sure.
Because I know there's a lot of sidewalks that are close to the road in certain areas, and, it's an older town. Is that gonna play into it? Does that become our responsibility, or is it the homeowner?
Yeah, because that's what I always thought, a lot of cities, the boulevards, the city property,
Right.
but the homeowners have to maintain the sidewalk, but who knows? Maybe it's just homeowners never challenged it. I don't know. I know St. Clair Shores, where I originally grew up, is very aggressive about that every summer.
Yeah.
They're out marking sidewalks. And
I'll have an opinion for the commission at the next meeting.
Okay.
Madison Heights is very aggressive too about it, and they did like this area by area thing. They sent out a letter. Your sidewalks are getting replaced if they're this and this and this, and if you don't get it done by this date, we're gonna do it and send you the bill. And that's the way most cities get this done, and that's how we thought it was gonna get done, but I guess because we're not that flush with cash, we're a little nervous about getting ourselves into something we can't afford.
That's the issue, sir, is a float for maybe 18 months on whatever we pay the sidewalk companies to, even though we're putting it on their tax bill if they don't pay, it's an 18-month float that we have to come up with this money to pay the contractors that put it in and then recoup the money slowly as the taxes come in if they don't choose to pay right away. So there could be a large amount of money floating out there, and that's where we have to decide where it's coming from.
I mean, I have no idea, but is there any type of federal program or grants, or is there any way we could get some assistance on this?
Not that I know of, sir. I will look into it, though.
Commissioner Avery?
When Dave brought up the tree, I mean, that is something that did come up back in October. The tree roots on the big trees, particularly the ones along my yard, have lifted the sidewalks up, and then of course you get the big gaps and so on. So, if it's my responsibility to fix the sidewalk, then do I have a responsibility to cut the root, not cut the root?
Yeah.
What do we do since the tree?
Slippery slope.
Yeah, it
You
is.
can't- If the root's there, you can't replace the sidewalk. It's gonna interfere.
There are some along William and Elizabeth and down, well, several of them there that, yeah, the trees have really lifted them up. They're
That's a
not-
good point, because if we start enforcing and people say, well, I can't fix this sidewalk because there's a tree root, your tree root is in my way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen other communities just kind of go
Around
around it. They build this big semicircle sidewalk, then
Yeah.
it just goes around it. I don't know if that's an answer.
Could be.
I don't know.
It's a bit of an avoidance though, because eventually those trees, if they're
Yeah,
healthy, are
yeah.
gonna grow longer, so we're just, but I understand what you're saying. I think we're all,
Yeah, I mean, what do
Yeah,
you do?
it's-
Your
it's-
trees are an asset. I mean, it
I
changes the whole
agree
look of
100%.
the city.
My parents and grandparents love the fact that we have huge trees. They come from Macomb Township where they have a sidewalk program that deals with, just like you're saying, they got tagged and, you know, they were happy to pay the bill because it was much cheaper than what it would have cost them independently. But the city came and cut down all the trees on the boulevard, or the township in their case. And it's a totally different looking subdivision that they're in now because you lose all those maple and ash trees. And
Yeah, I
it's
couldn't
not the same.
imagine like Grosse Point going through and just
Right.
cutting down every 100-year-old tree, you know.
And not that that's an option for us either, because that's expensive
Right.
too.
Yeah.
It's even worse.
All right, so I guess what we'll do is we put this back on the agenda for the next meeting, the next regular meeting, and we'll make sure that the copy of the ordinance is part of that, so we can start at least tweaking that. And then try to get some more legal answers and wait for some money to fall out of the sky.
Out of the tree.
Out of the
Yeah,
tree.
money tree.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can just get some of the bigger trees and start selling the lumber and finance it that way, I don't know. So are we, everybody satisfied with this subject for now? All right, so we're gonna come back to 10B another day. Moving on to item 11A, which is new business. We've got a request to temporarily pay for some banners. Is that what I understand?
Yes, sir. Mike, you want to come up?
Excuse me, I'm a little bit under the weather, so, this is to replace the banners. 20 new Christmas ornaments and 4 banners going across downtown. I got Brian, our salesman, to give us 25% off until tomorrow, in fact. After tomorrow, we lose the 25%, and then went to knock off about $5,000 worth of stuff off that. But you got, I didn't bring a copy with me. Do you have the,
Yeah.
let's see. These are, of course, y'all got the banners. And then, there'll be 5 of each of the bells, the stars, these, and the ones that go with the lamps downtown. These ones right here, and then, 4 of these new banners that will go across Water Street.
The skylines.
Yes.
Mr. Idris, right before the meeting, I had the question posed to me, why do we need new Christmas lights?
They're falling apart.
Yeah,
They're
that
falling
was obvious.
I just had to ask the question.
Yeah, I know.
We had just put new LEDs in a few years ago.
Right, exactly, but we bought the anchors in 2009, down here on Parker Street, but we haven't replaced those other ones since 2000, and they're brittle, they're falling apart. I don't know if you noticed the candles this year on those. The candles are all falling apart, they're crushed, they're just falling apart, everything's coming apart on them.
And this is part of built into the TIFA budget, right, for next year, so I mean, Tifa's ultimately gonna reimburse us and pay for these, is that the plan?
Well, Tifa's gonna pay for them. They will not be billed until after July 1st. And then Tifa will take care of
All
them.
right, so we don't actually have to lay out any cash, is what you're saying?
No cash layout at all.
We just have to authorize the purchase in advance of the budget.
Exactly.
Well, I know that's a popular item downtown. People like the Christmas lights, so somebody want to make a motion?
Questions?
Well, yeah, why don't we get the motion on it for it, and we can have discussion.
I make a motion to purchase the banners and Christmas decorations as presented.
Support.
So we have motion to support. Now we move on to discussion. Commissioner Hendrick?
Okay. I noticed the other banners, they kind of faded. How long on average are those lasting?
Well, those other banners are 20-plus years old.
The ones like this?
Yes, the blue ones we have. So they last quite a long time. They're starting to rip apart too.
Is there any other companies besides Bronner's that?
We looked all over, that's about it. I mean, if you want me to try to find somebody else, I'll try to find somebody else.
Well, I know when I was on Tifa, we bought the last batch, and I did shop around quite a few other companies. There's a couple in Indiana. And I did get the best deal from Bronner's at the end.
Okay. As much as I love these and they're pretty with the budgetary issues, I know what you're saying, but I guess everybody's got to do their own thing.
Commissioner Simpson?
I appreciate the fact that it's a significant cost savings, and I think that the fact that it's an item that's been budgeted by Tifa, we're just really facilitating their purchase and helping them out there. That's why I would be for this.
Yeah, it's very popular. It's enjoyed by the whole city, and it's a things that'll last 20 years. So, and the fact that, that's what Tifa, that funding's for, these type of projects, so I'm all for it. Anybody else have anything to say? If we're not spending money, I guess we'll do the roll call vote anyway, since we're not actually spending money, but we technically are.
Okay, roll call vote. Commissioner Avery?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
No.
Commissioner Lovett?
Yes?
Commissioner Melly?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
And Mayor Scottard?
Yes.
Yes.
Passes, so go get them, Mr. Etrich. Moving on to item 11B, Marine City Police Department Annual Report. We have Lieutenant Heslop here.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me the time to come up here and present our second annual 2014 annual report. Chief Tillery is handing out what I've put together for 2014. I'll talk about just a few things, what I want to highlight. What this covers is, the first section is pretty much the department personnel. We currently still have 3 full-timers. We have 8 part-timers. We have 2 reserve officers and 2 clerks, along with 2 chaplains. These numbers are down, and with our current structure, we're running on bare minimum, especially with our part-timers, where we see some young guys come in, we train them and they leave for full-time jobs, and we understand that. We don't expect these young kids to stay around with us. We expect them to move their life on and move on in the world, and other agencies are now beginning to hire. So we're seeing a lot of these qualified kids that we pick up initially leave us during a short time. So our part-time basis, they roll in, they roll out with some good training that we provide them. Another thing I want to highlight in that is a stone garden. I know last year we had talked about it. What was stone garden? I've actually included the definition of what stone garden is, what it entailed, when it was implemented, and the monies that were allocated to our department, I believe starting back in 2008. What that shows is the decrease in monies that the federal government has given us. I believe in 2008 it shows somewhere about $100 and some $1,000, of which I think half of that was used to purchase a patrol car and some equipment. That number is decreased down to about $4,000 for this year. So you'll see that even the federal government doesn't have any money. So at least that they're not providing it to us anymore. So it details it quite a bit in there. Good question, too. I'm sorry. Next thing, real quick, I want the public to know is that Chief Tillery did a nice job. He started a Marine City Facebook page. We have a Twitter account, and we have a WordPress, word blog, that all three are combined. So if we post one, something to one, it goes to all three. We have over, at the time I did the report, I think we had over 500 likes, several followers. To be honest, when you track this type of data, it actually showed that people overseas in Ireland and stuff were following us as well. So why they're following us, I have no idea, but thank you to them. July 1st of last year, we implemented a new report management system. We call it an RMS system. We call it Clemis. Oakland County started this system years and years ago. The biggest thing that we liked about it is it allows us to information share with other agencies. A lot of times we didn't know what St. Clair was doing, or we didn't know what the Sheriff Department was doing, and now with this system, eventually we're hearing that every department in St. Clair County will go to this, so we'll be able to pull their reports, they'll be able to pull our reports, etc. So very, very advantageous for us to go to this system. We're looking forward to some things in the future with it. In regards to Clemis, there's also a online daily portion where the officers that are working the road, they do their daily activity report. And from July 1st to December 31st of last year, I ran a report, and it shows officers' unassigned activity time. What that means, it's what the officer's patrol time is what's indicated. Now, the number in there is at 24% unassigned activity. What that means is an officer out of his 12-hour shift, on average, 24% of that, he is in active patrol. Other than that, he is doing follow-ups on reports. He's doing report writing in the office. He's doing business checks. He's doing PR type, public relations type work, community-oriented work, and that 24% is low. I put in there, you have to ask yourself, how often do you want to see a patrol car in your neighborhood? I'm also a city resident. I live at 455 Maple Street. I rarely see a patrol car in my neighborhood. 24% to me is not enough. I don't think that we have enough coverage in town. Also in there, the calls for service. In 2013, we had 2,148 calls for service. In 2014, we had 1,969 reports. Decreased by a couple hundred. Why is that? Open to opinion, I guess. My first answer would be there's a lot of self-initiated calls that are going untouched. Drunk drivers, traffic stops, drug arrests. You notice all those numbers are down in this report. So the self-initiated number, you know, when a guy's working by himself, he doesn't have the time. He's not in a proactive patrol state. I define proactive and reactive in there. You'll see that reactive is what we're in right now. We don't have a secondary car on the road to look for things, to sit on a business, and is that a trouble business where people have been breaking into it, or the MDOPs, the destruction of properties. So it's open to opinion why numbers, people just maybe not want to report the crime. I don't know. I don't have a solid answer why those numbers went down. And I covered the daily log.
You're supposed to take credit for that, Lieutenant.
The crime went down?
Yeah.
Sure, we'll go with that one. How's that sound?
You're doing such a good job.
Well, we can go with that as well.
I mean, that's what a politician would do.
I guess
I'm
I'm
just
not a
kidding.
politician, so I'll use that next year. I know last year Chief had posted this online after tonight. In a few hours, I'm leaving for Florida, so I'll miss every one of you, but I'll think about you as I'm fishing. I'll make sure Chief gets a copy of it, and he can post it on the WordPress. It will get to Facebook and Twitter. If you have any questions, I'll be available the following week. Love to have a cup of coffee with you. If you have any questions about it, I'll be available. So.
Any questions for the Lieutenant while he's at the podium? Thanks for the report. Commissioner Henry.
Just a quick thing, I know last year when Don did this, we asked you to, if you could give it to us ahead of time so we could read it before the meeting.
I'll make a note of that and make sure that happens next year. Yep, I'll make sure that
It'd
that
be
happens
nice
next
to be
year.
able to read all your stuff, and then we could ask more questions that way.
Absolutely.
You know, that was it.
Jim, do you have your copy up there?
I do, sir.
If you look at page 25, and you just talk for a minute about the day of the week and the time for calls?
Yes, on page 25, you notice, and I can't believe that this is the case, but Wednesday is our busiest day. It's beating a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, which is typically the party nights and the more active nights. But Wednesday is our busiest night. And if you look, our calls by time of day start to pick up about 10 a.m. and actually start to drop about 10 o'clock at night. For those of you who can't see this, we have 104 calls by time of day through the year at 8 p.m. and it drops to 92 at 9 p.m., 81 calls at 10 p.m. So it's starting to drop. And then you'll see at 12 and 1 o'clock that we're still fairly busy during those time frames. So Wednesday being our active day and that time frame is our most busiest. And if we have one car working and he is tied up on one call, and if it's not a priority call, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to wait until he's available and be able to respond to you.
But isn't that shift is being recommended, the 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. shift?
That will help tremendously in that
But
aspect.
it looks like it kind of misses your peak calls.
Well, when we're asking for a second shift and we're saying 4 to 4, we have the ability to say, okay, we can target this. Now, this is the first year we've been able to do this. And by targeting this, we say, okay, maybe it won't be 4 to 4. Maybe we'll use a 2 to 2 car.
2 to 2.
Or a noon to midnight car. You know, we have the ability to adjust that schedule.
So it's just a mystery to you. I mean, did you look at the nature of these calls? Are they
I did not break.
domestic
I did not break
disputes?
those. I did not break them down, sir. I
Just
did not.
wondering if it's like a hump day thing, you know, where everybody's just so happy they made it to Wednesday or something.
I don't know.
It's also pretty amazing that the two lowest call days are Saturday, Sunday. That boggles my mind that Monday is 327, Friday is 248 and 236, not even close.
Everybody leaves town.
Yeah.
Could be. Sundays are our quietest day we know. In the police world, we call Sundays like a civil Sunday. It's when we deal a lot with our family troubles and our civil matters. I think parents probably get tired of each other having to deal with a weekend or whatever the case may be. Sundays are probably primarily our busiest day for family troubles. So,
Anybody else? Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing this to us.
thank you for your time.
Good job, Jim.
All right, so on to item 12, which is financial business. We have disbursements, including payroll.
Make a motion to approve disbursements, including payroll of $433,746.60.
Support?
A motion and support. Is there any questions on disbursements? Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Lovett?
Yes.
Commissioner Melly?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Mayor Skotarchis?
Yes.
Commissioner Avery?
Yes.
Passes.
On to item 12B, which is our preliminary financial statements.
I move to approve the preliminary financial statements as presented.
Support.
The motion and support. Is there any discussion on the financial statements? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we will accept and file. Item 13, acting city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The budget process is continuing on time. The commissioners will have the city manager's comments, recommendations, and the breakdowns that you asked for, Commissioner, by the end of the week.
This week or next?
This week. I attended a meeting regarding the hotel project with the strategic the strategic group, MEDC, MDEQ, St. Clair County Brownfield Authority, Commissioner Graytop, Commissioner Bohm was there, St. Clair County EDA, Tom and Kathy Burton, of course, the architect, and their Revolution, our Revitalize LLC. The motel project is moving forward. The Phase 1 Brownfield is completed, and it shows that a Phase 2 is needed. The next step in that process is to have the Phase 2 completed. This meeting was regarding moving forward with that project and what it will take to get that Phase 2 done, and clearly they've got a lot of support throughout the county, throughout the state even. The same group, our strategic consultants, I've been talking with them about the boating infrastructure along the Bell River for several months before the town hall meeting where that was brought up. Even though the hotel project has moved from that area, we still own some property there, right by the bridge. And we are exploring, seeing if we can get some sort of a docking system in there. The strategic consultants are helping us out on this, and we're scheduling meetings with St. Clair County, the Infuse architects. Hopefully, that portion of it was done in part when the hotel project was in that area. So it's a scaled-down version. We're seeing if they can't help us with some drawings so we can take them to the Department of Natural Resources, who we're also working with to try to get some money to help us out on that project. Of course, we attended the town hall meeting, met with the Marine City Music Festival group. The Marine City Musical Festival is going forward, and it is a very big deal this year. They've got some great acts. Jeff Goots coming in, and Commissioner Simpson was at that meeting with me. The Music Fest is going to be very nice this year, and it is. We're looking forward to it. I attended the Tiffin meeting. I met with Bob Klinger, our local business owner, to explore development, a business development person for the city to assist in business growth. He had some ideas, and we are continuing those conversations to assist business growth in the city, especially the manufacturing business in the city. Marine City Dental at 162 Southwater. We completed the pro forma this week, and they are moving ahead with the rental rehab project, putting apartments above the dental office. And that's all I have this week.
On that boat slips, how many boat slips do you think there's room for there?
It depends on who you talk to, sir. They're talking about parallel parking the boats, and I guess the answer is it depends on how big the boat is. The sail boat people we talk to require much more keel depth, and looking perhaps having part of that dredged right there so the sailboats could dock there, but anywhere from 7 to 20, depending on how long the boats are, because it's parallel through there. So if you came into the big long boat, you'd probably take up 2 or 3 of the spots there. It would be a nice thing for Marine City to have a marine. So it would be very nice. Just in the exploratory phase now, though.
All right, we're going to move on to Commissioner Privilege. We will start with Commissioner Simpson today.
The subcommittee that's been, that were formed for working on the city commission webpage, we're going to meet on the 30th, so it's been a while since we've chatted about that, so I just wanted to say that if anyone else that's not part of that subcommittee has any thoughts or anything, if you would email us what those thoughts are. I know Commissioner Katarczyk is the only one I've heard from. That way we can take that into account as we're meeting. So, and hopefully we'll be able to come back with you guys at a meeting shortly after that. But just want to let people know that we are meeting. And as city manager indicated that the music festival committee did have a occasion to meet with all the department heads in the city, and I just want to, on behalf of the music festival, thank them for their time. It was a little bit lengthy of a meeting. As he indicated, we're expanding this year by quite a bit. We had some thoughts for next year. We were really able to talk through a lot of details that we just really appreciate their time. It was a DPW director, fire chief, lieutenant, the city manager himself, along with Mr. Klingler, who's supporting us this year, and Mrs. White and myself, who are co-producers of the event. So I just want to appreciate everyone's time. It was quite a bit of time. We worked through a lot of details, and we just really appreciate that partnership with the city.
Thank you. Commissioner Avery?
I would like to thank this people involved, yourself and Mr. Tillery, for the job that was done with the town hall meeting. I thought it went very well and generated some good interest and showed people are thinking positively toward the city. And I hope some of that same activity gets carried through next week when we have our open budget meetings. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hedrick?
Yeah, two things. I just wanted to ask, Lynn, did you want us to do something with this? I would think we want to
For
direct
informational purposes only.
at this time? Okay, on the parks? If you need something from us, you will.
I will let you know.
Okay, all right, that's the first thing. I want to thank Mr. LaCroix for coming here about the poppy sale. I thought the clerk was supposed to go back and tell him to get a different date. Isn't that what y'all voted on?
That's what I thought
what I
was
thought
supposed
too,
to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. See, some people felt that they didn't want yours in front of the Marine City ones. I felt it doesn't matter, veterans are veterans. So I didn't vote for that, but they should have come back to you and told you to pick another date. They just preferred it after the Marine City date is what they were looking for.
They told us to pick another date.
I understand that, yes, and you did,
And we did.
yes. And
And then they denied, they brought
Yes.
it to the council, and supposing the council said that they didn't want to have it before the VFW one.
that's
correct.
what the issue was.
Yeah.
Yes. But they still wanted you to have the sale, and I still want you to have the sale, so I'd encourage you to bring one back, if you could pick the weekend after, anytime. But please, bring it back and let us approve it.
The American Legion can only do it in the month of May.
Okay,
The first weekend, we were denied. The second weekend, we were denied. The third weekend, we have a dinner and a breakfast, so all our people are involved in
Okay.
that. The fourth weekend is Memorial Day,
okay.
so there isn't any.
Well, then I would suggest we go back and give them the date they originally requested.
Well, it's got to be resubmitted. So,
Could you resubmit for the date again?
For the first and the second? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Please,
Thank
thank
you.
you. All right. I had somebody ask me, do you know over on DeGursey if, it used to be 35 for half and 25 for half, has that now changed again?
No.
Because the 35-mile-an-hour songs are gone, and there's one that says 25 ahead, and the person went both directions, and the
I
signs
think
are
I saw
missing.
that 35-mile-an-hour sign laying.
Yeah, could you? Oh, I don't know. They didn't see it. They just said there was no signs. Could you check on that? So that, I don't want to hear that people are saying, oh, I got nailed for, doing too fast. And yeah, it looks like there must be something wrong because the signs are missing. Okay. I wondered if we've had any luck picking a person for the committee, or are we still doing that from the community?
At this point, I don't think that's going to happen because we've hired MML.
And you don't think their input would still help?
I think it would be helpful, but it's going to be a little different because everything's coming right to the commission. And I guess anybody that's interested could take part in those meetings. And
Okay, all right, just checking on that.
I mean, the subcommittee still has a little bit of a purpose. We're meeting on Monday
Yes.
with the representative from MML.
Okay, I didn't know whether that person was still in the picture or out of the picture. That's the only reason why I'm asking. Okay.
What time?
This meeting's at 6, isn't it?
6 p.m.
It's at 6 on Monday.
Yeah,
You should have had an email on that.
yeah. You get my emails, that they're coming through? Okay. The charts, I know you were getting them by the end of the week, but that doesn't give us a whole lot of time. I'm glad we're finally gonna get them. I hope, you know, you're gonna send them through the email. The last one I got, is the tot lot. I understand that's in this budget for discussion, but to me, it shouldn't even be in the budget for discussion. That little park is used by a lot of kids. I go by there all the time, the kids, and especially since that new equipment's gone in there. A lot of kids are in there, they're always playing. If you looked even in the snow, all the little tracks were in that park. It's heavily used by the kids in that neighborhood. I think it's bad to even consider that for a parking lot. And I'd like to make a motion to just remove it now from the budget, from discussion, for it being paved over as a parking lot.
I don't even know, can you even do that?
Why not?
I mean, maybe it'd be more appropriate to do it one of the budget meetings.
Well, I'd like to do it now so people know whether we're gonna discuss it or not, because usually nobody shows up at our budget meetings, but
Well,
I
I've
don't see
already-
what difference it makes.
I've already publicly, with both papers, said I'm against the idea.
Well, then let's make the motion now and get rid of it.
Fine, I'll support that motion.
Second.
No, I was a second.
Oh, okay, I thought you were.
So is there any other discussion on this?
Yeah, it's not on our agenda. It's in those budget packets right now. Why don't we just wait? We can remove it at that time.
Because
Follow
I'd like the people
procedure.
to see it now, so
Like
that they
you
know
like
we're
to
not
do,
gonna
let's
discuss
follow
it.
procedure.
Yeah, I'm not even sure this is a valid motion.
Right.
Would it be?
I think the commission can do.
You can make a motion at any time.
As I understand it, sir, you'd have to make a motion to suspend regular
You know,
order.
that, this whole thing was turned into something that should never have been turned into before we even had a chance to discuss it. And I don't know how the other commissioners feel about it, because we've never had a chance to discuss it. It's been out there in the public court of social media before we even had a look at it, so.
It should have been brought here first.
Well, we have a
Before the
motion
meeting.
and we have a second, so if there's, I did support that, because I am against removing the tot lot or paving over the tot lot myself, so. If there's no further discussion on it, all in favor, say aye.
I'd like a roll call.
Okay.
Sorry. I just
Roll
like
call.
In the interest of procedure, I would make a motion to postpone this vote till we get a chance to talk about it. It's been on an agenda for the budget meetings that are next week, and I think is better handled there. Commissioner Turner indicated that it's not on our agenda.
I support you.
And then since I anticipate a lot of people have an opinion on this, even if we don't address it in those budget meetings, perhaps we could at least have it on our next regular meeting.
So we have motion and support to postpone this vote on the prior motion. Any discussion on that?
I have to agree with Commissioner Simpson, because, you know, the discussion is coming up. It gives us a chance to look at it in relation to other things. It's on the agenda. It's next week. I don't understand what we have to be in such a hurry about.
All right, so anybody else?
Yeah, it's a surprise item to all of us, and I just don't, I think we should follow procedure. We should do what we're supposed to do. If we're gonna have discussion on it, and we, as a commission, decide that that's a bad idea, we'll do that. But because you don't like it and you wanna make sure people hear it, because they might not show up at a meeting, I don't agree with that.
Well, I would have put it on an agenda, but every time I've asked to put things on the agenda, they never
Well,
get on the agenda.
Not
So I
necessarily
finally
true.
have to do them at Commissioner privilege to make sure people are aware of what's going on.
You have never asked me to put
I
something on the
asked, I
agenda.
sent you a list the one time. I sent you 4 items. You didn't put one of them on there.
I don't recall that. I think I've been pretty accommodating, but
Yeah,
anyway, I
I
think I
just
have.
think that if everybody's not in favor of it, I don't know what the big deal is, just get rid of it now.
I guess because they would like to have the opportunity to talk about it, and that opportunity is being removed with this vote. Now,
You talk about it right now.
Well, we have, but we're not prepared to, and they're not prepared to. So we have a motion on the floor to postpone the vote. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right. So the vote has been postponed until the next regular meeting.
Okay.
which will be after the budget hearings, which by then we'll probably have dealt with the situation anyway. Did you have anything else?
I have one more thing. I guess I would just suggest to everybody, first budget meeting is gonna be what, Tuesday night here? If you're against it, come to the meeting, please. Make sure your voice is heard. I know a lot of people online are not happy. I don't think there's a whole lot to discuss here. It's a great little park, and to pave it over for 22 spots that may be used a couple nights out of the week is just ridiculous.
It's 7 o'clock, 7:30, what time is it?
6 p.m.
6
p.m. till 8 p.m.
6 to 8. And I would just encourage people to come so that you can also hear about the rest of the budget and some of the items in there. I think the budget has been posted online.
The budget's online.
Yes. So you can look at it online. Please take a look at it. Look at all the items in there. Read all the detail. It's available for everybody. And we need the input. You know, there's a lot of things in there that, in my opinion, shouldn't be in there to start with, but we need the input from the community. And a lot of it is, one of them is on the park, and there's a lot of other issues in there. So take a look, and please come to the meeting. The first one's Tuesday, and if we need any more, there'll be one Wednesday and Thursday. Same time, same place. Thank you.
Mr. Lovett.
Well, much has already been said. I just want to bring you up to date. The Safe Routes to School program that we began in the winter time, where we did the surveys of the schools, both the elementary and middle school. Will be letters going in, notes going out this week to all the members of that committee that we have so far, but we need a lot of people in April. We need to get out and do a survey, including sidewalks and roads and passages and safe routes for the students. There is grant money that will be made available to us through the Michigan Fitness Program to correct some of the problems we might see with children getting to and from school safely. Encouraging walking is the main idea too, also biking and walking to schools for exercise, et cetera. So if you know anybody that's interested, that isn't already on the committee, we need someone from all walks and all areas of the community to be with us. We'll be doing surveys, and that's on the ground surveys, standing out in the street and seeing what's happening, walking the streets, seeing how bad sidewalks are, seeing where, you know, it's dangerous for children to walk down the sidewalk because cars will be coming out of a driveway backing out, et cetera, and what things we can do to make it safer for all of our children. We've been very lucky there haven't been any. And I understand that Major Tarchik's been offered a job on the game shows for the wonderful job he did at the town hall, and he did turn out very well, and thank you to everyone who came out and was such positive support for us. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Just a quick question. Trying to get used to this wonderful little device here, but did anybody else have trouble?
Notice I hadn't been using it tonight either.
Well, that's when I knew that there was a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just there for decoration tonight,
All
to
right.
make us look like we're technically advanced.
So it wasn't me.
No.
All right. That's it. Thanks.
Commissioner Melly?
One thing I do want to say is I appreciate the people coming out to the commission meeting. It's a warming feeling that the town people are concerned. The other thing is I want to thank the Post coming out, explaining the difference, how the money is to be used. And I too, Lisa jumped the gun, because I did want to say, please resubmit your
Can we do that right now?
I don't know.
No, I have to do it at the clerk's office.
You have to put the application at the office, I'm sorry. And I want to see the funds to go for our military, and I'm really very supportive of them. And I'd like to see go forward and make money for the veterans. Thank you very much.
Okay,
I'd like to thank everybody that came to the town hall meeting. I did really appreciate the attendance. I talked to city manager before that, and I said my biggest fear wasn't what people had to say, it was that nobody would show up. So I'm glad you took the time out of your busy day to come to that meeting, those of you that did. For others, I wish we would have had it televised, because there was a lot of good discussion, a lot of good comments, so some good ideas. And all in all, I think the people that came represented themselves very well, and I'd like to thank everybody for that. I'm a little frustrated by some of the stuff that goes on with the social media and commissioners here, especially when it comes to the budget and the tot lot. That's not the way things really should work. This painting conspiracy theories like we're all out there with these secret plans, won't let things on the agenda. I mean, that's just not the way it works. The commission here was not in on that planning. I didn't know a thing about it. I doubt that any of the other commissioners knew anything about it. Nothing at that tot lot could possibly happen without our approval. So it's not like it was gonna sneak in undetected. It's not some big thing that could happen without being attended. I have talked to both the papers that cover this area, and I've already told them how I feel about it. I think it's a important park, and I like those kind of neighborhood parks. So, I mean, so as you can see, there's already 2 votes against that one in the budget. So, but do come to the budget meetings. I encourage you. But there's one thing that happened last week that really kind of set me off, is when I got a call from a reporter at the Times-Herald asking me questions about what we talked about in the last executive session.
That's wrong.
He did tell me it was an anonymous caller, and it wasn't just information about what we talked about, it was misinformation about what we talked about. I'd like to remind everybody the reason for the executive sessions, and that's because some of the information that we're talking about could be detrimental to the city in one way or another, and it's supposed to be all in confidence, and that means you're not supposed to share it with probably your spouses or neighbors or mothers or anybody else either. So to me, that was totally unacceptable, and hopefully moving forward, the executive sessions won't be compromised like that. Other than that, I've been hearing the talk about, us taking the waterfront, don't want progress in this town. I hate to say it, but this town has just too much potential not to have progress. And this town was always a business and an economic center. But what happened was it was devastated in the recessions of the 70s and 80s and never really recovered. And I think on top of that, with the expansion of the suburban malls and the freeway, it was just, we got put into a recession that was a long recession. And we're just now starting to come out of it. And this is an economic center for this area. It does have an international crossing, and there is still a lot more potential. This area is going to grow. It's going to get bigger. But it's still going to be a quaint town no matter what happens with the business. And if we ever want to see our taxes at a reasonable level, which they're at par with other cities right now, but we need the economic development. It's important for all of us. If you take a drive south, coming into town from the south, drive down Parker, take the turn down Broadway, then come back up south on Water Street and just count the empty and unutilized commercial property, and you'll see the potential that's sitting there waiting. So if you're not happy with development, I'm afraid it's going to get a little better in Marine City, especially if I have anything to do with it. So with that said, I'm going to look for a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Motion support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No.